our health segment where the benefits of family planning was brought to you. Okay, let's look at what we have for you on our Heartbeat highlight this morning, and that is on navigating societal expectations. What do you understand by that? We all tend to belong to one social group or another, and within these groups are some sets down expectations which we are expected to behave as such. With these, it seems to pose a lot of challenges on how we can go about this, as well as maintaining our individuality. This is the basis for our discussion on how you can navigate societal expectation this morning. And relatively, I have invited to the studio somebody I like to describe as a square peg in a square hole. She is Mrs. Uduabon Victor Tom, a clinical psychologist who is passionate about family life with special interest in children and teens. Udwa, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So nice to have you once again.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, societal expectations. To set the tone for this discussion, how would you talk about this term, societal expectations?
All right, I'd love to say that societal expectation has to do with unwritten rules and norms that society had imposed on individuals that is capable of influencing their decision, their choices, their behavior, and even their identity, their sense of identity. Although most of this societal expectation could be positive, can also be very overwhelming, especially when it clashes, can cause conflict, between individuals, especially when it clashes with the individual authentic self. Whenever this expectation clashes with our authentic self, there is bound to be conflict and pressure on the person.
Before we move on, I would like you to bring the difference together, because sometimes we hear social or societal expectations. So tell us what they have in common.
All right, looking at societal, let me start by the social expectation now, which has to do with the informal, expectation that individual needs to face, or often face, from the social setting or the social context or the social organization that he or she belongs to. These are like more informal, or expectation from the social setting that an individual, compared to the societal expectation, which is more formal, legal, which is what the society expects individual, the way society expects individual to behave part-time, which of course has consequences if perhaps the individual is not able to abide by those expectations of the society.
Okay. Yes, we've been talking like we are talking about the abstract. So I'd like you to bring examples, illustrations of these situations of societal expectations.
Okay, let me start.
Really buttress what we want to talk about.
Okay.
Those ones that are very common to us here.
All right. Okay. There are societal and there are social expectation. Like I said before, that for example, the social expectation, there are numerous. There are numerous, beginning from what is expected of a lady of a marriageable age, and we see it a whole lot. Even the society expects a lady, when once you are 30 and above or whatever, you are expected to get married and settle down. Where the individual is not able to settle down at that point, the eyebrows are being raised. Why are you still single? And to me, I will ask, is it the lady that will have to marry herself? And then for the guys, what is happening? And majority of people out there, they like asking that question. Bros, what is keeping you till this time? Why are you? That's in terms of marital relationship or concrete relationship. Studies that reveal that for ladies, once they get to a particular age in their life, that there is this pressure, there is this societal pressure on them to have a tangible relationship, that maybe either migrating to marriage or a relationship, a steady relationship. But for the guys, it's also expected that once you are done with school, you should start working to support the family, isn't it? You should start working and support your family, support your siblings. Where an individual as a man have not been able to measure up to this societal expectation, that are being looked down, as people that are not able to provide for their own household or dependents. That some people look down on people that maybe you are above 30, 40 and you are not doing anything. You are struggling with your parents' toothpaste. When you're supposed to be bringing in, you are still staying under the roof of your parents and giving them headache. Society frowns at it, and then socially, it's expected that everyone belongs to one peer group or the other. And then where, for instance, you belong to a particular social gathering or a social a peer group, and you're not able to meet with their standard. Let's say they said every month there should be dues contribution, and the individual is not able to measure up, or there is a uniform, should be, and it's expected everybody should appear in uniform. Where an individual is not able to appear in such expected uniform, you are not part of the deal. It may not be voiced out, but the behavior of others towards this individual could be different. So these are the few examples that is expected of an individual. Even as a lady, you are expected that you're supposed to be married before you start having children.
Yes, I like that of gender more.
Yes,
because that's so many.
Yes, if you are to be married and then perhaps along the line life happen and you become a single parent, society frowns at it so much. Even in the religious setting, they may not give you roles that's supposed to be given to you, because you have, in a way, you are not measuring up to the standard of being married legally or being married with a husband, so that they can give you other roles, and not just that. How about jobs? Let's talk about career.
Yes.
There are certain things that is expected of a lady. Maybe the society believes that the kind of career a lady should venture into, or women should venture, it should be maybe caregiving, teaching, health, and the rest, while the men should go into the tech and the rest. It is expected. So where an individual, let's say a lady, is navigating or having a choice, a desire towards the engineering field, it looks like absurd. Who is this person? He raises eyebrows. And then emotional expression. In emotional expression, the lady is expected to be the softer one here. Any little thing you should cry, be tender. So where a lady is kind of, depending on the temperament of this or personality trait of this individual, the person exerts much energy, and the person is like trying to be tough or trying to measure up to be independent. They say you are too strict, you are too rigid, you are too this, and then the person needs to adjust the personality trait, which is not, remember that your trait is not just a variable. It's something that you were born with. So no matter how the individual tries to mellow down, over time the real self will come up again. So that's one of those those examples. So that is expected. Individuals are expected to express based on their gender differences. There are things that men are expected, that societally now, that there are ways that are expected to behave and act. Then there are also ways ladies are expected.
And for men, the common ones here is you're a man, you don't have to cry in a situation that is so so much burden on the heart of that man.
And that's why we have more men dying of hypertension. That's bustling up as a result of bustling up so many
psychological aspect of this.
Okay, so because of this, society expects a man not to be weak, in quotes, not to be weak. So any man who tend to maybe cry at a certain situation, life do happen to people and move you to tears, and that depends also on the personality trait of this individual. Let's say for instance the melancholies and the flex, they are more tender in terms in heart, and they feel they're emotional, more emotional compared to the sanguines and the cholerics. But if it happens like that, and this individual tend to maybe shed tears, say, be a man. Even, I see it even among parents. A small boy that knows not, they allow children to be children. A child will fall down, and instead of you to allow the child to express the emotion of feeling pains, you say, you are a boy, you are not supposed to do that. Be a man, be a man. Boys don't cry. Allow it will help, at least even if it doesn't do anything, it will help the tear gland. It will wash and cleanse the tear gland. Allow the child to express, allow the individuals to express. There is nothing like, being a man when you are facing everyday life that every other person is facing.
Yes, we also see that when it comes to societal expectations, these are rooted in our social structures, but that is easy to admit. What is not easy to admit is how do they evolve and develop. What's your take? Okay,
I think this depends on the social the cultural context, maybe the cultural context, and not just that, the individual differences, individual uniqueness. And these are the things that, if for instance this a person is expected to act in a particular way and this individual cannot act, it will lead to so many things, apart from depression, anxiety, stress of trying to measure up with this expectation. So it impacts on them, on their mental health very well, such that this individual, rather than facing it headlong or being encouraged and there are some things that happen in life to individuals, and you know that it is just a natural setting. All you need to do is walk this person through that phase, not really setting up so much high standard that individual, society or socially wise. Now, what I would advise is that, okay, before we get to that point, I believe that individuals should be assertive enough to be able to say no to some things that you don't like, especially if it is not against the Lord, if it's socially in the social, yes, in the social context. Now,
okay, let's see, because all these rules are set in different groups that we belong, but let's see how these expectations are communicated and interpreted by the group members.
Okay, like you said, different groups with different, expectations,
including family, work,
yes, okay,
maybe other social groups, every other place that.
Okay, let's start from family. There are some social expectation from some families. Some families believe that once we go out there to the social setting, we don't eat. Irrespective of what is being presented, you just collect it. Or like if we see the royal families, they don't eat anyhow, they don't talk anyhow, there's a certain way they are being trained. So if you go against it, it's like breaking the ultimate rule. That's for the families. They tend to say, okay, this is our value system, because every expectation is rooted in the values of that particular organization or the family that the individual belongs to. So when an individual goes against these rules, remember we said that social expectations are unwritten rules, but majorly is imposed on people, and it has a way of affecting their choices and even their sense of identity. Yes. So when a family sets up this, it automatically kind of, let me use the word, clone the individual into a particular mode. This is how you should behave. Irrespective of the fact that you are not comfortable with it, you just have to conform to it for acceptance purposes.
Let's talk more about the effect of this when it comes to maybe displaying or expressing your sense of identity in society. Okay,
let's say a person who is in a typical workplace, and there are expectations, and the person goes against it. It means that this person, as long as you have not been able to conform to these social norms or these social guidelines or that is governing that particular place, you may face discrimination. There may be stigmatization as well. You may not be accepted. You may not have that feelings of acceptance. So people tend to, in order to be accepted, they conform, not because they want to, but because that is what is expected of them at that moment. So individuals who are deviant, who are displaying deviant behaviors, will not be accepted in that setting, and then it may lead to discrimination and as well stigmatization.
Well, against all odds, it appears that some people tend to maybe enjoy or live according to these expectations. As a psychologist, what do you think is the reason?
Okay, like I said, most of these people tend to accept these norms, not because they want to, and some of them are doing it because this is the only way that I can feel accepted. There are some people who build their entire life around their social gathering, around their group, their association. So if they are not conforming, okay, let's say for instance in the country, value is placed on education. An individual are expected to, you go to school, finish secondary school, go to university, get more degrees, get more certifications. So for an individual to have a sense of belonging in each or in his or her own society, must be able to follow through this. No matter how hard school fees is, they want to do it. At least let me just get diploma. At least let me just get this certificate, so that at least if anybody asks, what did you come out with, I can say this is it. That's in terms of the educational sector expectation from the society.
One of the
so
benefits.
Yes, one of the benefits, that's what makes people move people to conform to those social norms in order to feel accepted in that particular society.
And it seems that some of these expectations allow us to accept some forms of social control. At what point is this cultural expectation a problem?
Okay, and then I would love to say that it becomes a problem when it is also posing as a problem to others around you. Remember that man is a social animal. So if where your own behavior and choices and sense of expression of your sense of identity is affecting either your work or your co-workers, or is having any impact on anything that has to do with the society, it becomes a deviant behavior, and it will not be acceptable in that particular social setting. So you need to drop it, and then you need to redefine that your values, and then wherever your own let's say your own values or your own grace or whatever stops, another person's own begins. So you shouldn't use because you want to belong, or you want to express yourself so much that it is having detrimental effect on others around you. But it should be such that it's accommodating and acceptable in any particular or given social setting.
Yes, I would like you to talk about your observation, your personal observations in the society when it comes to societal expectations with the people around you.
Okay, I noticed a gender bias, of course, when it comes to the female counterpart not being able. What I see in the society is that once a lady is not able to meet up with the societal or social standard, they are looked down on, that of course they are underperforming in the eye of the society. Therefore it leads to a lot of poor self-esteem in this kind of people. They believe they are not good enough, they have not been able to meet up with the standard. And like I said, there's in terms of career, there are people that they expect you shouldn't go that far. Why are you pursuing this career? Your career should be maybe in the classroom or in the household, or in doing one thing or the other that is menial. So anybody who strives to get to the point, any lady who strives to get there, to try to measure up, not because of competition, or in this case healthy competition, trying to make ends meet, because people like things differently. So you shouldn't, the society shouldn't cage. There's so much potentials inside everyone, both male and female. The society should make a way for them to express it, rather than tagging them that this is for ladies, this is for men. And when this person dare to do, it should be like, okay, this person is trying to do something positive, as long as it doesn't have detrimental impact on the members of the society.
Okay, the bottom line. How do we manage this so that we don't completely lose out of touch when it comes to values in the society, as much as we don't allow them to control us, to have our sense of identity?
All right, balance is everything. We need to strive for balance. In a situation, let's say the social context now, where an individual is not able to measure up, in as much as you want to belong to a social setting, you should look out for things that helps you and that motivates you to continue in the positive light.
Right.
And where it is not possible, you can withdraw yourself from that social setting, or that particular, or people that tends to weigh you down with so much expectation. Like, there are some things within your locus of control, and there are some things outside your locus of control. Let's say, for instance, a lady who is unmarried and is of marriageable age. It is not within the locus of control of that individual to marry herself. Therefore, the social setting, because it also determines how they relate with them. Most times, most of us belongs to our, let's say, our alumni groups out there, and maybe whenever you are having a reunion, and the people you left many years ago, are coming with their jeeps, with their children, with their this, with their that. As a result of that, you can't find yourself being able. I have friends like that who can't join such association. Why? Because they feel, what have I achieved in life? So that shouldn't be the measurement of your, course of living. So you can go in there and still, even when I was single, I was still attend. I will even catch fun more than those people that are married. So it also depends on the individual. Now, the individual differences, the way they perceive things, the way they perceive themselves, their self-concept now. So if you perceive yourself in the negative light, you will not you will not be express behavior that is acceptable in the social setting, as well as the society. So balance is needed. For the fact that this part of your life is not working, it doesn't mean that others should just stagnate. So in order to feel acceptable and not lose your sense of identity, there is need for balance. Define your values.
Okay. All right. On that, I know that as individuals, we also have our own expectations of others, like for our children, our spouses, and the rest. So how can we get control of ourselves so that we allow those people to be themselves?
Okay, like I said before now, you need to balance your expectation and the reality, abilities. In talking about children now, the abilities of your children. If a child is not able yet, maybe based on their developmental milestone, they are not able yet to meet up with the standard, as long as it's not a total deviant behavior, that child can be coached into being better, instead of putting that that parents who put so much expectation, family expectation, so such that if, let's use education you have to be at this. They want to maybe fulfill what they couldn't fulfill in their own days through their children. So you must, even when the child doesn't like a particular profession, they push the child into it, forgetting that before you do that, you must create the environment first from that tender age, such that this child will be able to imbibe this and love it. But sometimes it could be in educational setting, the child had passed very well, but all because the child did not pass with A stars, the parents are saying that, or the society or whatsoever thing, they're saying this is not our standard, this is not the expectation. Still celebrate them at that point while guiding them on how to achieve more.
All right, Mrs. Oduabong Victor Tom, a clinical psychologist, thank you so much for your thoughts on this program.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed myself. Thank you once again for coming. All right, friend, this is how we want to wrap it on this segment of the program, and we were exploring the focus between societal expectation and personal fulfillment. Like she said, the information is balance. try to see how you can balance it between societal values and also respecting or rejecting those things that are not allow you to be your own self. This is where we drop it. Don't go away. Heartbeat continues with Kankoda and his crew to make you laugh more.